Hey, welcome to the Hangout. There's a little problem here. It won't be very long. We're going to fix it, but I believe we are now working for it. There's a Hangout live on the web. Yep. And that's going to be okay. Shortwave Hangout live now here. Sorry for that late response. There's something going wrong with the Hangout that is live. It's supposed to be working. There we go. Sorry. Here we go. Paste. Tweet. Okay, I'm just going to retweet. It seems that the link we had earlier is not working. So I'm getting back to the Hangout link. There's a little problem with the link here. Sorry, guys. So welcome to this Google Hangout. Sorry if there's not there's a problem with the link. I'm going to wait a few minutes to see spectators. Sorry for it seems that the link that the Hangout gave me that I was sharing with everyone is not correct. So it won't be very long. We're going to start our show, and we're going to talk about great stuff tonight. Won't be very long. Won't be very long, guys. I'm coming up to the Google Hangout. There's a big, seems that the first link that I gave out was not correct for some reason. Sorry for that, guys. It's as if it changed for some reason at a certain point. And really sorry for that. So hi everyone, welcome to the Hangout. I see that the people are joining slowly. Sorry for the link. Greetings, Klaus. Welcome to the Hangout from the Bavarian border. Sorry for the wrong link. I'm really there's some kind of problems. It seems that the link changed. The problem is I started the Hangout, first Hangout, and restarted the Hangout. I think something went wrong there. That's probably the problem. So hi guys, welcome to this Saturday evening Google Hangout. We are a little past 2300 hours UTC. Let's take one of the clocks off because this clock is quite good. The other one wasn't really good. We're at 26 spectators right now. So today we're going to talk about QSLs. We're going to talk about correspondence with stations, writing to a station, what you should say, what you can do, what you can ask for, maybe what you should not do, and what's the best thing to do depending on the station you're writing. And not just international broadcasts, but also medium wave, FM, and amateur radio. Because you can get QSL cards from amateur radio stations. You just need to do the right thing. It's a little more complicated though with amateur stations to get emails or address. Well, the address is not bad, but the emails is probably a problem. We're going to start with a little bit of news here because I've got some news that I want to talk about that I've put somewhere. I'll find it someday. Here we go. So the first news, the sad news that it's finally official. Radio Exterior de España has left Shortwave, unfortunately. And that is a really, really sad loss because of I've been listening to Spain for a long time, and it was really, really sad. I've started listening to Spain in 1982, 83. Back then they were called Spanish Foreign Radio, which was an interesting station, and I thought just for the fun of it, we'd listen together to the interval signal of Spain through the years. Just a little bit of nostalgia on Spain here. So we have, let me just check here for Spain. They ended after 70 years, as they were saying. They were on air for 70 years, so it's unfortunate to see that they are gone. So here are a few interval signals from Spain. External, so we have Voice of Spain from 1975. That sounded pretty much like this. It's coming up in. So this was a Voice of Spain. This was also the same interval signal when there were Spanish Foreign Radio.
This is the Voice of Spain.
That was when they were in the Voice of Spain. Then they became Spanish Foreign Radio with the same interval signal that you just heard. And finally, which has now become Vintage Radio Exterior de España, that had this interval signal.
Tuned to the weekend English language service of Radio Exterior de España for Europe. This broadcast goes out every Saturday and Sunday from 21 hours to 22 hours UTC on 9660 kilohertz in the 31-meter band.
So, unfortunately, bye-bye Radio Exterior de España. I will miss Radio Exterior de España. It was a station that was part of my early evening regularly in French, and mostly in French. I listen to Radio Exterior de España mostly in French, but in English also. And of course, Spanish foreign radio. I always remember that when I first started with my DX100 right here. This is my first shortwave receiver for those that wondered how I started. This little receiver started all. And here I am in 2014 with Google Hangouts and shortwave radio live on the web, something we didn't even think of when I started listening to shortwave. Welcome, Mr. Garcia from Brazil. Papa Uniform 3, Hotel Alpha George. Welcome to the Hangout. It's nice to see you. Yeah, Klaus is mentioning, and that's true, is that there is a little bit of Radio Exterior de España still on the web, where we can find them, of course. And I haven't checked anything yet for any programs or something like that. I don't know if they still have English and French or stuff like that. Hello, Mr. Hutchison from the UK, and welcome to the Hangout. We're at 73 spectators, which is nice. So today, of course, we'll do a little bit of live tunings from time to time. If you guys hear anything from that's unusual on the radio and you want us to try it, we'll try it live, of course. Hey, David from Barcelona. Nice to see you here. 1 in the morning over there. So, thanks for being there. Klaus is also a late night in Bavaria. We're in Germany, and so nice to see that you guys are watching, even though it's late over there. So we're going to talk about correspondence. Hello, Mr. Tom Amrat from Florida. Yeah, it's nice to see that you are here in one of those live hangouts. It's cool to see you guys. Thanks for being here. Really nice to see you guys. So if you guys got any questions also, well, what I wanted to do, because I wanted to kind of slowly, we'll get like a structure out of we'll get a structure out of you know, the Hangouts. I'm trying to build some kind of structure. So if you guys got questions, what we're going to do is ask the questions. Well, I'll take note of them, and at a certain point, I'll be in the like questions and answer part, and we'll answer every question in one big batch of questions instead of answering and, you know, interrupting maybe the Hangout. So it's nice to see. Hello, Mr. Dennis from Wisconsin. Nice to see you. It's fun to have you watch the Hangout. We're at 75 spectators, which is not bad at all. The only unfortunate thing that I found is the link that was wrong on the Hangout, but it seems that you guys found it anyway. So it's pretty cool for that. So when we, you know, start shortwave listening, one of the things that comes to mind is maybe that we want to write to stations, and I would say that probably that in most people that write to stations, we have I don't think more than 1% of anybody watching or listening to a station actually writes to a station. It's like in the Hangouts here, you know, I get up these numbers up to 100 people watching, yet you guys are 6, 7, 8, 10 people, you know, one about 10%, and not even 10% with interaction with me. And you know, it's pretty much the way it works usually. What happens is a lot of people listen, not a lot of people write. Yet, correspondence with a station is one of those great things that is fun to do, and also it lets the stations know that you're listening. And you know what? Why do stations stop? Of course, money is the big thing in shortwave. You know, money decides. In shortwave broadcasting, for an overall budget of a government is small, but in broadcasting terms, shortwave is expensive. Transmitters cost a lot of money to power on and give us these signals, and a lot of these stations actually leave because they don't have any money, because of cutbacks of all. And one of the reasons why they might also leave the airwaves is the lack of correspondence. If you don't receive mail from your listeners, well, there's not a lot of reason to stay on the web. You know, here I have a counter on this Google Hangout. I see the number of people watching while I'm doing it. So you have a true and effective number. I also have a number on the channel that tells me 2 weeks to 3 weeks how many hundred of people watched. So I have something to work on, numbers. Radio stations don't have numbers unless you tell them you're listening to. And that's the big problem, having people write. And to get people to write, stations have, with time, done a little something, and probably what's the most popular of all is QSL cards. Now, QSL cards are verification cards. And what happens is that by asking you to give out program details, technical details of signal level, and so on, they first of all have one nice way of asking you how well is the reception. And at the same time, they give you a little gift, which is a QSL card, which is basically a postcard, but it's a postcard from a station with technical details. And here we're going to get out a few QSLs here. I brought a few things that might be interesting for you guys tonight, and give you an idea of, you know, what you can get to. So QSL cards, they're like little postcards. So here's a few examples of QSL cards. Here's Radio Romania International QSL. There's another one here from Radio Romania also. These are QSL cards, and they have technical details on the back of time and frequencies. And these are actually fun. And you know what? I'm still maybe less than I was before, but I still am a QSL chaser. I love to receive QSLs. And you know, the stations, these are kind of little gifts for you because they like the fact that you wrote. So here, for example, is a QSL from Radio Netherlands, station that left the airwaves. This one is nice. It's my confirmation QSL for receiving WWV on 25 megahertz. Station I'm listening now, WWV. This is one of their QSLs. This is to prove that I heard them on 25 megahertz right here. So this is really cool. So it's fun to have correspondence, and it's a great way. Here's Voice of Vietnam QSL. Well, technical details of Voice of Vietnam right here in the back. So you see all the details and the information of, you know, you get stuff like pirate radios. Here's Pirate Radio QSL, which is a nice QSL card. So even pirates QSL. And one of the ways that QSL has changed, it's starting to change in the way that these cost money. You know, I mean, this is paper, costs money to produce. It costs money to send. So some stations have changed towards eQSL, which is a QSL you receive by email. For me, an EQSL, a nice EQSL, is as valid as a postal one. Of course, the fun of opening the mailbox and getting cards is really cool. You know, today we receive bills, and that's pretty much what we receive. So having, you know, these letters from all over the world, and I mean, this is one of the first thing that got me hooked also on radio. One of the first thing that I started listening with this one, this DX100, and it took me maybe a month and a half, and I started writing to all of these stations, and I was writing crazy. I mean, I would write to the same station 6, 7, 8 times in a year, and let them know I'm listening, and that you know, I wanted their QSL. And some stations add really nice ways of giving out QSLs, like giving out a series telling you every 2 months we have a new QSL. One of the stations that I had a lot of QSL because they had these great series is HCJB in Quito, Ecuador. They had series every 2 months. They had a new one, and every year they had a subject: Ecuadorian birds, telecommunications, amateur radio, and so on. And it's pretty cool. So this is one of the things that's really fun about radio is QSLing. So these are examples of QSLs. This is, for example, a QSL I just received not very long ago for a report. This one's a report of 20 January 2014, and this is Cuba. So this is one of QSL from Cuba. So Radio Havana, Cuba. Here's in the back. You got the technical details right here on top. So you know, it's part of the fun of radio listening, and I think a lot of you out there might find it interesting. Here's KBS World Radio QSL. My friend Han, if she's watching, will find it interesting to see this one. KBS World Radio in South Korea. We have all the technical details here in the background. What's cool about QSLs also is they have this little story of what you have on from, you know, what it means here. So it's pretty cool. So pretty much QSLing is part of, you know, the hobby, and it's a way for the stations to get you to write to them. But there's one thing that a lot of people, you know, I used to be a QSL hog. I mean, I wanted just QSLs, stickers and stuff. And yeah, I would listen to, but I you know, didn't take really time to let everyone know that I was you know, listening to their programs and give detail what I liked or didn't like. And that's, you know, I was young, 13, 14 years old. But if you do want to write to get QSLs and stuff like that, one of the things you need to know is to, you know, at least take the time to also let them know what do you listen and what do you like in the programs. That's really important. So let them know if you do a reception report and you want to have that QSL card, at least listen to the program and let them know, but you know what, I like this or this program. This program I think could be better, or, you know, they want to know. And it's not true that you have to say that everything's positive and beautiful, because what they will really want to know is what do you want to hear. If, for example, the station is not talking enough about their own country and how they live, well, maybe that is a problem. Shortwave, one of the first things you want to hear on shortwave is how others live. I'm going to do a little something here and check that. For you guys that want to listen to Voice from the Past, Radio Ukraine International should come on at 23:30 on 11580 if you guys want to try it.
From the EU News Network, we are back at the same time next week. We're online, news-network.eu.
This is the EU News Network, transmitting to North America, the Caribbean, and Latin America on 9955.
This program is produced by the association with
David in Barcelona mentioning that CRI, China Radio International, sent in 2 QSLs, and he found it really fun to get those. So it's really cool about that. So you guys, if you want to hear Ukraine, 11580, it's from the WRMI transmitters in Okeechobee, Florida. Normally it should start, but usually at 23:30. I'm just wondering. Hope it's not just weekdays. Here we go. Radio Ukraine in English via WRMI transmitters in Florida.
This is Ukrainian radio. In this half-hour broadcast of Radio Ukraine International, you will hear the news bulletin.
It's nice to see Ukraine back via a transmitter from United States. And I think this is great usage of the WRMI transmitters. I mean, they have this big antenna farm in Okeechobee, Florida. It's pretty cool. So, like I was saying, if we continue our discussion on QSLs, is the fact that, you know, if you write, of course, let them know that you are listening to their program, what you like, what you dislike, and give them more than just, I heard you today at this time, this frequency, and please QSL, thank you. That's, you know, they know you're listening, but you sound more like someone that's give me. I always take time to, you know, write a nice little letter letting them know what I like, what programs I listen to regularly. Let them know also how often you listen to their stations and so on. One question that I was about to come to from Tom is, okay, when he used to QSL, you know, it was kind of required to send postage, and that's a thing that we need, of course, to talk about. You know, in the 80s, when I started QSLing, postage was not required most of the time. You know, stations had more money back then, and most of the stations were big government-run, you know, operations. They had money. But as we're going through the years, stations have less and less money. And although a lot of stations don't require to have any postage, you know, I think we have to use our little sense of knowledge of what station we are writing to. Now, you've got different types of stations. If you write to Radio Romania International, well, they don't require you to have return postage. If you write to China Radio International, they won't require you to have postage. Why? Because these are run by the governments, and these have enough budget to actually send you out these QSLs. But the smaller the station, the more it requires you to actually participate and give a little bit more. And it's especially true if you're listening, you want a QSL from very small stations, African stations, Central and South American stations, those really small stations that actually have very weak or very small budgets. These often will require you to include some kind of postage or a way of them to actually, a way that you can pay for the return postage and the return of what you are asking for. One of the ways you can do that is either to send postage stamps from the country, but that's not always easy to find. One of the things that I would do personally that worked quite well was to get, $1 US bills. I'd get, for $20 or $30 of $1 US bills. And every time I'd write a small station in Africa, I'd include a $1 US well packaged so that when you look through the envelope, you don't see it, because there's a lot of theft of letters internationally. So we gotta, you really have to make sure that the money doesn't show, because somebody's gonna steal it. And that actually gave me a lot of return. That could be something that you can do. Some of the things, but these are kind of expensive and harder to get today. One thing that's called international reply coupons. International reply coupons are these coupons that you get at your post office. And what they do is that the person on the other side can exchange this coupon for what it costs for one international airmail letter. The problem with international reply coupons is the first times I bought them in the 80s, they were really expensive. To give you an idea, postage was 64 Canadian cents back in 85, 84. An international reply coupon cost $2. So imagine how it was expensive just to get a reply with these coupons. And the fact that a lot of those countries didn't even cost what it cost here to send a letter. So it's kind of, too expensive. I think IRCs are too expensive for what they are. So, try to find a way that you can actually pay for the return. Another way for very poor stations, those weak South Americans, these little stations there, one thing that they probably appreciate is not only postage, but if you can put self-addressed stamped envelopes, that we call, which is basically an envelope where you'll just put the stamps from the country that you're sending to. You already fill out your address. So not only do they now have to return postage, but they don't have to use their office equipment, so no envelopes and stuff like that. Another thing that you can try to get a reply, because some stations don't have QSLs, is to make and print your own homemade QSL, fill it out, put a little letter explaining what it is and what the station, if they can just stamp it or sign it or something, and you put that in a self-addressed stamped envelope, and they send that card back. So, there's a way that you need to pay for postage, but one thing about postage on international stations is, like I said, big stations like China, Romania, don't require, if you write to the Voice of Vietnam, they won't require. But if you write to Radio Nacional de Amazonas, 11780, for example, they might require. They are smaller. One way to understand if you should or not include return postage or some form of payment, think of the fact that if the station is broadcasting to your area, say you're listening to KBS World Radio in the morning, one thing for sure is that that station is broadcasting to your area of the world. And what's happening So what they're since they are transmitting to another area of the world, usually these stations don't require you to have return postage. They have a big service. They are sending out this signal to your area of the world. So you can be pretty safe saying that no postage is required for return when a station broadcasts to another area of the world. All stations that are local, so stations that broadcast to one area, for example, Radio Nacional de Amazonas is mostly for Brazil. They aren't intended to be sending out their programs to Canada, the United States, or Europe. So any station that is very local in its audience is required to have postage or some form of return payment, if you want, because you are asking them for something that costs money. And remember that, if you're writing to a small station in South America or Africa, the target audience of that station is not Canada, is not Germany, it's not France. It's Brazil, or very local. If it's a Brazilian, it's Brazil. They just want to talk and be heard in Brazil itself. So think about the fact that when you're writing to a station like that, the technical guy, that technical director, the one that fiddles with the transmitter, might get a kick knowing that he's heard in Canada, but the station itself doesn't really care that you're listening from somewhere else. That's not the target audience. And if you're asking for a QSL, you're basically just asking for something that for them costs money. Sorry. So think about that before you write. Hey, Mark. Mark's saying, can you get digital QSL cards? Well, the form of digital QSL card that you get is what we call an eQSL, which is a QSL through email. An example of that is most pirate stations today will actually send you QSLs through email. That's pretty much the way they are doing it now. Why? Because a pirate station is somebody like me that just wants to do some kind of illegal operation, and well, there's no budget behind it. The guy or girl that's doing it is basically just has a transmitter and does a little program. Doesn't have money to send out 500 QSLs through the mail. So now we use more and more eQSLs. Most big international broadcasters use only standard postal QSLs, which is fun. But we can suspect that slowly there might be a change to eQSLs on some station. We never know. That's one thing that you might think about QSLs. There are other stations that we can QSL, and QSL won't necessarily always come in the form of a card. QSLs might come in the form of a letter. This is a letter QSL from Radio Austria International. So this is dated 2008. Now they had a card here that you can actually cut through, but a lot of stations actually just send confirmation letters. So confirmation letters is a form of QSL, and I've got letters from, I've got a QSL letter from Radio Pakistan from the 80s and stuff like that. So some stations don't send cards, but they'll acknowledge, and a letter form. So these are a form of QSLs. There are also utility stations. I mean, when you're listening to a coastal station like WLO in the United States, or if you're listening to all sorts of online HF traffic in utility, there is a form of QSL. An example for that I have is Shannon Volmet, the Shannon, Ireland weather station for the air frequencies. It actually QSLs, and that's another form of DXing, getting QSLs from. Now, these are other types of operation, and most of them will require you to put postage or some form of payment for the return postage. Why? Because these stations, even though they are on the air, correspondence with someone else is not a priority at all. And by the way, a lot of these stations actually mention it. For example, I don't know if it's WLO in the United States, but I heard one of those stations giving out details of how you can write to them. And at the end, they mention, well, if you want to receive a reply, you should add a self-addressed stamped envelope so that they'll reply. If you don't do so, you won't get any replies. So utility stations are stations that might QSL. Now, it's not official. A lot of them don't, and some do. And sometimes it's a question of writing to the good or the right person. And that we'll get to that a little later when we'll talk about sources of address for these correspondents. Another form of QSL is amateur radio stations. Let me check here if I've got one. If I don't, I'll be getting one in a few seconds. Just give me a few seconds, guys. While you're enjoying Radio Ukraine International, so if anyone wants to know what sort of QSLing I did, this is a big book of QSLs. These are all QSL cards that I have, Tanzania and so on. This is one of the books of my collection over the years. And to give you an idea of something that would be of amateur radio, here we go. Here's two amateur radio QSLs. These are examples. LX5A, and this is a local one, VE2ZVZ. So this gives you an idea that you can also QSL amateur radio stations, and that can actually be a really fun part of QSLing. But one thing that you need to know, if you ever QSL an amateur radio station, then you will be required to have a self-addressed stamped envelope. If you want to have a QSL from a station, you'll have to pay everything. Keep in mind that amateur radio operators are people like you and me, and most of them aren't millionaires. So asking for a QSL costs something. And one fun thing that you might want to do if you QSL amateur stations, why not make yourself your own little QSL card as a listener? I don't have any, I couldn't find any because it's been a long time since I've used some, but I had a QSL card made, and I had call letters. I had shortwave listening call letters. Back in the 80s, there was like a registry of shortwave listening call letters where you can register and have these call letters assigned to you. But that went away pretty much. And the call letters that I use today, which is Victor Echo 1214/RB. And where did I get these letters? Well, actually, back in the 80s, Radio Romania today was called Radio Bucharest. And they had a DX club. And to be in the DX club, you had to give a certain number of reception reports over a period of time. And if you accomplish that, they would give you a diploma saying you send us the required QSL reception reports and over this period of time. And they'd assign you call letters, and they would use actually the real letters of amateur radio stations. So VE was assigned to me because Canada was Victor Echo territory. So if you hear a Quebec station here from Montreal, where I am, you'll probably use Victor Echo or Victor Alpha in its call sign, because that is a sign here. And throughout Canada, it will be Victor Echo. Back in the 80s, there was only Victor Echo. Today we have Victor Alpha also. So they would give out, depending on the country, the letters. So here they gave me Victor Echo, because that's Canada. And they would give out a number. And stroke RB, because Radio Bucharest. And I always kept that number. For me, that's my official shortwave number. That's my official shortwave listening call letters. And you know what? I was thinking earlier when I was thinking about that I should make myself a little something, you know, official, like some kind of little official diploma. Unfortunately, I don't have the original diploma that they gave me back in the 80s. You know, I moved 2 times before I came here, and every time you move, you lose stuff, and you also get rid of stuff because you have too much. And I probably got rid of it somehow or lost it somehow, which is unfortunate because these are really nice things. So if you don't have one assigned, why not create an original one for you that is your shortwave listening, you know, number. Create yourself a shortwave listening number. Why not? And there you can make your own little QSL card. And if you want to QSL amateur radio stations, it's, you know, cool because you can add your card to that station, and he's going to be really happy, or she's going to be really happy to receive a shortwave listener QSL card. And if you enclose, you know, postage and return, self-addressed envelope style, well, you'll be happy to send you a QSL, and you know, you can actually participate like this. If you don't have or find it too complicated to do that, you know, I believe that most amateur radio stations, if you give them sufficient money in an envelope, they will send you a QSL card with pleasure. You know, I got a lot of my QSLs without even asking for anything. What I would do for a while is send emails to amateur stations, and just to let them know, well, you know, I heard you on the 15-meter band on this frequency at this time, and you had a contact with this other station. And a lot of the amateur stations that I wrote to actually sent me QSL cards by mail. And I never asked for any because I knew that it would cost money. And, you know, it was just fun for me to write to them and let them know that I was listening. And but a lot of them actually found it so cool that a shortwave listener took time to write that actually they sent me their QSL cards. A lot of them said, well, what's your address? I'm going to send you a QSL. It's really cool. I think it's, you know, fun way to actually participate. Klaus in Germany saying that Ukraine on 11.580 is coming in very well.
Their life was a complete regime of restrictions. Hyderabad's family had to forget about their jewelry business that had left behind in the Crimea, but his father found a way. He and 4 sons wrote quotations from the Quran, put them in frames, and then sold them.
Such quotations, yes, century, were a must in every family.
Interesting to know, John saying that SWARL is still doing that now. Thanks for letting me know. I wasn't sure if they were still on. Just gonna check something here. SWARL.
By writing petitions, negotiating, and
Trying to
more than 3 million signatures.
Shortwave amateur radio listening. Aha. That is nice. SWARL. So for the shortwave listener, if you guys want to take a peek, SWARL.org is the website. So that is nice. And
that was how I once learned this trade. Now he teaches his
it's pretty cool to know that they still exist.
Following his mother's footsteps and continuing the dynasty of musicians. They all dream that someday soon the Crimea will be Ukrainian again.
And now, ending our story in the rubric Discovering Ukraine, in this edition of Hello from Kyiv, we'd like to offer you a song in English, sung by a young, beautiful, and gifted Crimean Tatar violinist and singer, Asiya.
One of the ways also, for those that were wondering, by the way, because I just seen it here, there's a site called EQSL that actually is also a way that a lot of stations and amateur radio stations especially use that way to send QSLs. You know, like I said, QSLing and sending out mail, it costs money today, and it's getting more and more expensive. So there are more and more ways that you can actually have QSLs through the internet, and that costs a lot less. David in Barcelona saying that it's called Echo Alpha 998 Uniform Radio Echo. Was issued by Unión de Radio Aficionados Españoles, the Spanish Amateur Radio Operators Union. So that is cool. So I didn't know that those countries, see, we learn every time, right? I didn't know that these actually existed. That's really nice to know that these actually come. So of course, you know, getting some form of call letters from an organization like you know, an amateur organization is cool. Like I said, mine comes from Radio Budapest, and I always kept that number basically. Maybe I should look into if, you know, here in Canada, maybe we have some form of I've never actually looked in knowing if in Canada we have some form of registering a call letter. That is nice to something nice to know, you know. I think having some form of call letters, it's pretty cool. Pretty cool at all. Pascal in France saying hello. Nice to see you. So nice to see you all over here. By the way, we are at 88 spectators, which is quite cool. So pretty much, you know, you can QSL almost anything that you listen to. Some of them are to QSL, some will never QSL. You know, I've had stations that I wrote to dozens of times before I got a reply. Some I wrote dozens of times and never got a reply. Some reply all the time. That is part of the probably part of the experience of getting QSL cards and correspondence. But remember, if you're writing for to an amateur station, a utility, a very small station, medium wave AM broadcasts will often have kind of acknowledged letters. FM stations, these really all require you pretty much to pay for the return postage if you want to have something. They don't have the budgets to do that, and it's not part of what they usually do. And international broadcasters, no problem. The big ones, and what we call the big guns, KBS World Radio, Radio Romania, Radio Japan, all of these stations, Vietnam, Voice of Turkey, will not require you to have return postage in general. So you can check for that. Some stations don't acknowledge at all. An example of that is Radio Australia. Radio Australia, which probably has some of the most beautiful QSLs in all the cards that I have had, doesn't QSL anymore. And it's not part, it costs, like I said, it costs money, and for them it's something that they just don't want to spend the money for that. They want to just stay more into the radio, sending out their programs, putting the money over there. But it doesn't matter, if a station doesn't QSL, at least still take time to write and say, well, I'm listening from here. I wrote an email to Radio Australia about a month ago, letting them know, well, you know what, I'm listening from Canada. Your signal makes it really well in the morning, 95.80, and you're part of my mornings. And even if they don't QSL, at least take time to listen to. And you know what? If you are a shortwave listener and a big fan of shortwave radio, take the time to write. You're watching this Hangout. Why not just after the Hangout or after you stop watching? Take the time to write to one of your favorite shortwave stations. Let them know you're listening, just so that they know you are there, you are listening. That's very important. One of the things that comes to mind when we want to do some QSLing is, where do I find the address or the email of the stations that I'm writing to? That's the big question. Of course, if you listen to programs from stations, they usually give out, big stations, usually give out their email and postal address regularly. I've heard, I think it was yesterday afternoon, I heard Voice of Turkey giving out their postal address, which is the same. It's been the same forever. I think Cuba, I heard also Cuba. And so, this is something that you can do, first of all, on big stations. Listen to them. They'll give out, usually every broadcast, they give out their address. They give out an email. For other stations, stations that are smaller, also for utilities and amateur radio, then you'll have to find other ways. Now, if it's an international broadcast, one of the best things that you can check is WRTH, the World Radio TV Handbook. By the way, the new one, the 2015, should be coming out near Christmas. I'm planning to get my 2015 this year. 2011 is the last one I have, so it's 3 years old. I will buy the 2015 pretty much for sure this year. This book contains pretty much email contacts and postal address of almost every station in the world. So this is one of the great books to have if you're looking for email and postal address. Often they also have the person to contact personally to get whatever correspondence you might want. So this is one of the great books for anything that is a broadcast station, medium wave FM, any international broadcasters, any local HF shortwave broadcaster. Everything is in here. You'll have pretty much all the details in this book. So this is one of the books you should get. That's for sure. So that's one of the things. For utility stations, it's a little more complicated. Utility stations, you'll often want to go on the web, search for that utility station. Is there a website? For example, if you listen to maritime broadcasts, try to find the government that does these broadcasts and try to find a way to contact them. Of course, forums on the internet, utility forums, for example, will often have help if you're looking for an address to write, like Shannon Involvement. I believe I've got it off a utility forum where someone said, oh, if you want to get a QSL from Shannon Involvement, this is where you should write. Amateur radio stations, it's quite easy. If you want to have the postal address, a site like QRZ.com is really, really a great place to go. So Queen Radio Zulu.com is pretty nice. You just enter the call letters of the station you're hearing, the amateur station. You'll have the full postal address. What I found a little bummer on the QSL webpage is they used to have the email on the page, and probably because of spam. I'm pretty sure that's the reason why. Because of spam, today the email address is only given to other amateur radio stations. So if you're just a listener with no amateur call sign, you cannot get email address of amateur stations, unfortunately. But still, you have the postal address. So if you want a QSL, you still have the postal address. You can send them a nice letter, return postage and everything they need, so that it costs them, nothing or close to nothing, and they'll send you a nice QSL. That's pretty much for sure. We have David in Barcelona saying bye-bye. We'll watch the rest. It's a little late. I understand. Take care, my friend. Klaus in Germany saying that he's got a LRA 36 Argentina, a South Pole Station QSL, and said he's got it for free. And pretty cool. Pretty cool. I've got QSLs from stations that I would expect require return postage, but still send me, correspondence. I had a few telling me, well, we're sending you that QSL now, but next time, please, we want to have return postage if possible. What else can you receive from a station? Is there anything else apart from QSLs and a nice letter? Of course, there's a lot of stuff that can be received from stations. And I'm going to give you a few examples. This is an old China radio calendar. Nice little calendar from 2007 that I still have. These are nice little, things that you can receive, which is really cool. And actually, we're approaching the end of the year. If you're looking for stations goodies, a lot of stations give out calendars at the end of the year. Another example here, I've got little calendars from Cuba. These are the 2014 pocket calendars. And Cuba often says, well, we've got pocket calendars that you can give. Another thing that you can get, some stations will give out, these little pennants, like this one from Radio Cultural in Guatemala. This is one of the ones I've had I've had this one since the 80s. These are nice, you know, like material, really nice little goodies here. Keychains, John saying, well, goodies like keychains. Yep, I've had many keychains over the years. One that I forgot to bring, I got a Radio Canada International 50th anniversary coffee mug. And I should get it to show you guys. It's really nice. KBS World Radio sent me Korean music. So really nice little real CD of KBS Korean music. It's really nice. So, you know, you get all sorts of these little details. It's really cool. Another example of goodies that you can receive is, you know, a lot of stations give out stickers like this. Radio Sweden, KBS World Radio. This is Voice of Free China, which is Radio Taiwan today. This one was really nice. Radio Australia. These are older, but there's a lot of stations still give out. Radio Prague, Radio Canada, gone, KBS. I've got a fridge magnet from Radio Prague a few years ago. I've got a fridge magnet for, I think is Voice of Russia at some point, which is unfortunately gone. These are all little things that you can actually get. So it's really cool for that. And these are, hey, Mr. Sunbird, hi, number of stations. Yep, I'm gonna check that. So like I said, there's a lot of goodies out there, and this box contains one of the really nice goodies that I received from China Radio International. And if we open it, these are handmade and painted glass bottles. These are painted from the inside with a very small paintbrush. Unfortunately, they are broken because the postage is just so rough that they're actually cracked. One is cracked, the other one is actually broken here. If we take it out, you can see that I can take out a part of it here. It's broken. I can glue it back though. That's what I should do actually. So these are nice little gifts. It shows you that you can really get really nice goodies when you write to stations. And stations still do send all sorts of goodies. If you write regularly to stations, you also get some nice little you know, add-ons that you don't ask for, like here, Happy New Year 2014 from Voice of Vietnam. And they've actually been sending me Happy New Year cards for the past 15 years, and I think they never missed a year. So this is nice New Year stuff. So you know, all of that is good, cool goodies that you never know you can get. The best thing to do is, well, you know, if you write a nice letter, you can still be polite and say, well, if you got, you know, stickers or keychains and stuff like that, you never know what they can send you. Stations like Radio Japan, KBS World Radio are often very good at sending goodies. But you never know. Even stations that are often stations that just don't send a lot of correspondence, you never know. Someday you can have some kind of goodie. And often what happens is they have like this budget for goodies. And what happens with these goodies is that if you write often, then you will write someday to a period of time where they have a lot of these goodies, and they're going to give you some, because these don't last forever. So for example, if they ordered you know, 50,000 stickers, Well, if you are writing while they still have the stack of stickers, you'll have good chance getting a sticker. But if you're writing and they've given all the stickers, they won't print out stickers just for you. So that also depends on the time of year, the budget, what you're asking for. I remember China Radio International giving out these huge wall calendars. These were incredibly nice. So there's a lot of stuff that can be very surprising. And even though today the budget is not as good as it was in the past, you never know what you can receive in a letter. So the first thing that you should do is write your favorite station and let them know you listen regularly. And if you keep a regular correspondence with your favorite station, what's going to happen is you're going to eventually receive something. Stations might not send you a lot of stuff the first time you write, but a lot of the stations will notice that you write every month, for example. If you write every month, you become one of their good listeners that interacts a lot with them. And that will probably give you more chances of getting goodies, because they're going to say, oh, this guy or this girl's writing every month, and we should send a little gift out. Sometimes gifts are just sent out in unusual ways, and it's refreshing and fun to go to the either the post office or your mailbox and open, and you've got all these goodies and letters from all around the world. Why not take the time to write? So these are all sorts of goodies that you receive from stations all around the world. We're going to tune a little bit the bands, of course, because this is one of the things that I want to do, is tune around while you guys are there, of course. And we'll also talk about the next Hangout, when it's going to happen. We're already 1 hour and 15 minutes into the Hangout. So I hope you guys are enjoying. We're at 74 spectators right now. We're not going to beat the record that I have had, probably. But one of the reasons is probably the fact of the bad link, which for some reason didn't work at start. So this is a little unfortunate. We'll try to get a better link next time. So let's check for pirates. We are Saturday evening, and Saturday evening is pirate time. So let's check for pirates. $69.40. Yep. $69.40, a very strong pirate. An upper sideband, so you need to have single sideband on your receiver, or else it's going to sound like this. So this is one of the very strong pirates right now. I'm going to go and check at the HF Underground. This sounds like Shortwave Pirates. So we are here at 0123. This is 018. Okay, 018. Pretty much the time we are now. Wolverine Radio, and they've been on since 0000 UTC, so they've been going on more than an hour now. Wolverine Radio with an excellent signal. So if you guys in North America want to try a pirate, why not try Wolverine 6940 upper sideband? Great signal. Very great audio also. This one is usually heard, you know, throughout North America usually. I don't know how much power they use, but they are. One comment that I had is, what is it in megahertz? Well, megahertz is 6.9 megahertz, 6.940 megahertz. Usually, you know, I give out in kilohertz 6940. 6940 means 6.940. If I say 15,240, well, it's 15.240. Megahertz is just, you know, taking the dot and changing its space instead of kilohertz. I often say kilohertz, but you know, it's quite easy to transform here. So I don't know if you guys hear Wolverine, Pirate, 6940. And the Wolverine radio is one of those stations that actually QSLs. They send you EQSLs. I have at least 1 or 2 EQSLs from Wolverine in my Toshiba laptop. Klaus in Germany receiving Wolverine radio. Imagine, Europe is receiving Wolverine radio. Imagine the power this guy must be using to make it to Europe. Wow, this is incredible. I didn't know that the Wolverine was making it all the way there. Pretty cool. And that sounds very Wolverine. In the past few years, they've been playing a lot of oldies. Sunburn 1990 is asking, what about number stations? Well, number stations don't QSL, from my knowledge, because one of the reasons why they don't is they technically are not broadcasting. These are government-run secret stations, and technically we're not allowed to, you know, nobody's going to give out details of address or where you can write. These are really underground broadcasts to spies, and so number stations don't QSL. And I don't think nobody's ever had a QSL from a number station. That would be a first, and would kind of undermine a little bit their effort, if you want. If I'm looking at the HF underground logs, and you see people from all over. There's Western Michigan, a guy in Michigan saying that it's a very strong signal. Got another one here in Springfield, Massachusetts, with great signal. So seems to be punching a real strong signal on 6940 Wolverine Pirate. I mean, for an upper sideband signal, this audio is really good. Let's try, I'm just going to try a few things. Let's try. Nothing heard from Thailand, 15590. if you guys do a lot of listening in the next few days, there's a lot of there's a big sunspot group on the sun that is emerging and coming into view. So solar flux has been really going high in the past few days, and it's probably going to continue because the sunspot group is going to be even more geo-effective in the coming days. Now, a little bit of things that we're going to talk about, because in the next Hangout is going to happen in November, very early November. So we're going to talk about a few things that are going to happen since then. First of all, a lot of people noticed that I've been doing some surprise Hangouts. And these surprise Hangouts I will really probably do more of in the coming weeks. So if you want the best spot to learn about Hangouts, and especially if I do unannounced Hangouts, is my Twitter feed. So why not subscribe to my Twitter feed, which is Shortwave Radios with an S. And you'll see my name, Gilles Letourneau. And so Shortwave Radios with an S. Shortwave Radios. Think of many radios, many shortwave radios. So that's my Twitter feed, and that's where I post the links to my live Hangouts as they are happening. So if I start an unannounced Hangout, the Twitter feed is a great spot to go to, as we are going to put these over there. And unannounced Hangouts are not official Hangouts. I'm not talking of a subject. I'm using the unofficial Hangouts as a general guys hanging out, tuning the radios and exchanging what we can hear on the radios. So they're not like these official Hangouts like today that typically have a subject or a theme. We will have some official Hangouts that are going to be, you know, we'll have official Hangouts that are going to be only tuning. I'm planning to do a few of them in between subjects. And if you guys particularly want to hear about one particular subject on a Hangout, let me know, because I will, of course, check that out and try to make sure that you know, we talk about that. And so Shortwave Radios is a great spot. My Twitter feed, you'll instantly know that I'm doing an unannounced Hangout, and there's going to be more unannounced Hangouts. I'm probably going to make I'm planning to do unannounced Hangouts pretty much every week. So these are surprise I'm here, and they can last anywhere from half an hour to an hour and a half, 2 hours, 3 hours. The unannounced Hangouts don't have an official time range. So when people say, how long does it last? I don't know. It can last in half an hour, and that's it. You can have last 2, 3, 4 hours. The unannounced Hangouts are also going to be only announced on my Twitter feed. I'm not going to send an email for unannounced Hangouts. And I'm not, because one of the things that I've been doing is sending out links through the DX Listening Digest and HF Monitors groups that I want to thank for letting me post these up of my Hangouts. And so unannounced Hangouts are only announced on my Twitter feed. And of course, if you browse by chance my YouTube channel, you might see the Hangout there. Sir Joseph 74 says that Wolverine in Texas barely audible. Dallas, Texas 6940. So might be more into the East Coast probably. And wonder if it's very directional on the antennas here. Nice Doors music. So, you know, take a peek from time to time, and best, like I said, the best place to know about unannounced Hangouts is really to check it out. My Twitter feed and check out if I'm here or not. It's the best thing, basically. Robert Cole, Google Hangout tonight. So, hey, Juan David in Mississauga, Ontario. Welcome to the Hangout. Nice to see you. I'll mention, as a lot of people say, that I'm not mentioning it enough. I'm in Montreal, Quebec, Canada here. Thank you, Klaus, for the unannounced Hangout. Saying bravo, bravo. These are fun, you know, unannounced Hangouts. We tune the bands, and what I usually want most of the time out of the people watching is interaction of what you hear, what you guys hear where you are, and you know, frequencies that I can tune on the radio. We can compare reception. The other last hangout that I did, unannounced hangout, was really cool. It was late afternoon here. We tuned, and actually Klaus in Germany was pointing out stations. I would try them out here. I find stations here, and he would try them there. We had nice interaction of trying to listen to stations on Shortwave. It was really, really cool. So these unannounced Hangouts can happen anytime. If I have time to listen to the radio and feel like it, you know, I just put the camera up, start the feed. I posted it to Twitter, and like that, everybody knows that I'm sending out the unannounced Hangout. I think Twitter is, you know, for a long time, Twitter, I didn't use a lot of, really Twitter a lot. And now I just kind of found a really good use for Twitter. That's to announce stuff that I'm doing, and you know, posting my loggings of what I'm listening through the day and so on. So, and by the way, I should actually do this right now. Post to my Twitter feed about Wolverine Radio. So shortwave radios, why not join my Twitter feed? And of course, if you are into radio, I'll join your Twitter feed also. So Wolverine, you seem to have started at 0-100, so they're been on for 30 minutes now. Well, we didn't miss a lot of Wolverine actually. And so unannounced Hangout, that's one of the things that I wanted to talk about. I'll mention my next Google Hangout also. Take note, anyone that wants to know, my next Google Hangout, the next real official Hangout, will be Tuesday, November 4th. So Tuesday, November 4th. And it's going to happen at 1500 hours UTC. So if you guys want to take note of it, next hangout is November 4th, 2014 at 1500 hours UTC. That hangout, I'm planning to mostly do some radio tuning and compare signals with everyone on the band. It's more going, it's not going to have an official team of, you know, for a hangout. It's mostly going to be a listening experience hangout if you want. We'll tune around the bands. And after that, because I will announce both of them right now, and of course, make sure that I don't forget them also. The hangouts that are coming up are November 4th, so Tuesday, November 4th at 1500 UT. And after that, we'll have another one that will be on Sunday, November 16th. So Sunday, November 16th, and that one will start at 2100 UT. And the one on November 16th will talk about the different types of radios that you can purchase, and from mini portables all the way up to big tabletop models and even portable communications receivers that have shortwave bands on them. We'll talk about all the types of radios. We'll talk about the different types of radios. We'll talk about what's good, what's bad, when should you buy a certain type of radio, and so on. So that's for November 16th at 2100 hours UTC. So if you guys want to take note of it, November 4th, Tuesday, November 4th at 1500 UT is the next hangout, which will be a radio hangout. It's just a shortwave tuning experience. And then Sunday, November 16th at 2100 hours UTC. And that one will talk about shortwave receivers. And you know, with Christmas coming up, I think that, yeah, we're in October, but Christmas will be coming up. And on November 16th will be, you know, not much more than a month before Christmas. Time really flies. And so that could be a nice period of time to get yourself a cool little receiver as a Christmas gift. So we'll be checking at that. And I'll be posting, actually, kind of a little top favorite receivers that you can buy. So if you guys plan to either ask for or buy yourself a shortwave radio, I'll post kind of a top 10 receivers, or, you know, maybe a top 3 receivers by category, depending on how I'm going to do that. But I think that could be a good, a really nice thing here. So these are the 2 hangouts coming up. One of the things that we'll talk about on November 4th, even though it's just a general tuning hangout, is the fact, and we're going to talk a little bit about it today also, is the fact that we are nearing a schedule change. As you know, or maybe not, shortwave has 2 schedule periods. We have the A14 season that is ending in 2 weeks. Not even 2 weeks, you know, it's ending at the end of October. We'll be changing schedules, and that is always a very, very difficult time for shortwave listeners, because we usually lose our favorite stations because they change frequencies and we just can't find them anymore. One of the problems with, you know, in the 80s when I started listening to shortwave, we had 4 schedule seasons. And basically, they would adjust, every season would have its schedules. And that was nice because they would adapt the frequencies depending on the period. But the problem was for most shortwave listeners, it was a little complicated. Most listeners don't understand why shortwave stations change frequency. And one of the reasons for that is the seasons. In the summer, with long days in northern hemisphere and short days in southern hemisphere, frequencies are used cannot be most of the time used in the winter season, or because the shorter days in the north and longer in the south makes these frequencies no good for propagation. So they've decided to do a 2-time-a-year change. The bad side is that in this period, like now, October, some of the summer frequencies don't propagate very well because of they're too high. An example here is Voice of Vietnam from Great Britain on 12,005 kilohertz at 0100. Lately, it's not been a very good frequency. Throughout the summer was excellent. The play is no good. And they'll probably be going down to 6175, which is the usual winter frequency for them. So that's an example. And we are going to that schedule season. So remember one thing here is that these schedules are coming up, and so look at your favorite short internet spot where you get your favorite schedules like primetime, shortwave, and so on. They will be updating those schedules. So that's one thing that you need to check for, because you will probably lose some of your favorite stations and wonder where they are. And so by looking at the schedules as they update, you'll slowly find the new schedules for winter. One excellent comment here from Klaus in Germany to add to that is the local time changes in Europe, for example, and in North America. For an unknown reason, the Europeans and North American time change is not at the same time. We have a difference in when we change our times. Now, that does not change for most shortwave stations. That does not change the time of their transmission in universal time, but it changes universal time compared to local time. So here, for example, in Montreal, we are 042, which is 8:42 p.m., 2042 local time. We have a 4-hour difference with UTC right now. When we change our clocks for the winter time, which will be in the first weekend of November, what's going to happen is that our time difference is now 5 hours with UTC. And that's a big mix-up for people that actually listen to shortwave and aren't used to using UTC time. They often mistake the fact that, time is going to change for the, no, time is not going to change on most shortwave broadcasts. It's just that your reference to the universal time is changing, and that's different. That is what is different. So you gotta, be careful and check that. That's the biggest problem here with local time versus UTC time, especially when we change time for the winter and summer seasons. So we'll have that usual few weeks of being a little mixed up. One of the things that we'll probably have on November 4th is a little bit of scheduling, talking about what stations are at what time. So if you lost your favorite station, we'll be checking at what frequencies they are using for the winter. Some of the the strongest station So, hey, Mr. Bullseye Fox, welcome. In Australia, it's at says that 12:44. So, you know, it's just so complicated for newbies to understand all of these things. You know, that's what makes shortwave at a disadvantage, probably, knowing all of that. You know, knowing that we're in UTC versus the local time and so on. It's a lot of stuff to you know, bear in mind. You know, we still have schedules till the end of the month. Then they're going to be changed, and the whole will be in the what we call the B14 season. That will go on up through the month of March. So another 6 months of schedules are going to be coming up. That's one thing to know. So we're listening right now to Wolverine Pirate, very strong pirate. With what I find actually some really cool and good music, actually. Very nice choice of music here. One thing that I'm going to show you before we don't have a lot of time left, 15 minutes. One thing that I want to show you guys also, because we were talking about QSLs and correspondence, what we can get on station. As we are right now with pirate stations, which is Wolverine Radio. One thing that you might be interested to know is some of the goodies that you get from pirates. Example, this is Undercover Radio Pirate with a CD of their 2006 show. This was the exact show that I actually listened to on the broadcast back then. Another goodie, Northwoods Radio. This one I heard not very long ago. Hunting Season. This was another one sending me this Hunting Season CD with their program that was here on that evening. I mean, this is amazing because I never expected to receive these, and I mean, these cost a certain amount of money to produce and send. So it's pretty cool. These are amazing little things that you can receive as goodies. One thing that you can also that's fun about correspondence with shortwave stations is the fact that you know, a lot of popular stations have mailbag shows. Like, for example, KBS World Radio on the Saturdays has its mailbag show where they read listener letters, and Radio Romania has a mailbag show. Cuba has a mailbag show. Turkey has a mailbag show. So when you write to these stations, what's cool is that you can actually hear your name and, you know, your letter read over the air, which is really cool. So you know, why not ask them questions about their countries? That's also another thing that's interesting. You know, if you show interest in their country and their culture, ask questions, you might find yourself, you know, mentioned in one of the mailbag shows. I've been mentioned, you know, probably hundreds of times in mailbag shows. I even get people on my YouTube channel saying, "Hey, I heard your name on Radio Venezuela Cuba or on Radio Romania. And, you know, I missed the broadcast." And people telling me, "I heard your name. I noticed you. They mentioned your name." It's really cool. You know, people listen to these broadcasts. Yeah, Bullseye, that's awesome. Yeah, these are cool things, you know. I mean, I'm so happy. I'm holding on. These are really rare goodies received from pirates. You know, this is just so amazing. I've received scarves. I've received keychains. I've received a coloring book. I've received a lot of stuff that's just so amazing. If I had kept everything that I received over the years, I'd have a full room of stuff. When I started listening to Shortwave, I would keep every letter that I received, every letter. I had a huge, 2 or 3 huge boxes full of letters. And someday I looked at the letters and I said, where am I? Why am I keeping all these letters? You know, they were stacking up, and we were moving. I was like, I'm gonna throw them away. But you know what? One of my friends with who I listened to Shortwave when I was young told me not very long ago that actually he still has all of these letters that he kept over the years, and so that's one thing I'd like to see. I'd like to have him show me these letters. These are interesting. Klaus saying that in Netherlands, pirates all have a central common chat room. And if you get to listen to a station at Sunday, especially, and the DJ mentions you live in the broadcast. A lot of, by the way, interesting to see that the Wolverine radio just seemed to have lost a lot of power here. By the way, if you guys can decode slow scan TV, he usually sends a slow scan TV picture at the end of its broadcast. Unfortunately, it's getting really weak now. But I should actually maybe check for that. Yeah, here too, Klaus, if you mention a lot of the pirates, if you mention on the HF Underground website that you're listening to them, often mention your name on the air. Also, a lot of them give out emails. Wolverine Radio doesn't really, you know, it's mostly a music broadcast, but on a lot of pirates that have a lot of talk, usually they give out emails, and a lot of the pirates actually interact, and if you give out your email, they'll actually will mention your name over the air. I've heard my name a few times on pirates also here in North America. So, you know, these are cool things that also is fun about interaction with stations. Writing to them, you never know. You'll hear your name, they'll send you gifts. And why not? A lot of them have contests. One of the contests that I know Radio Romania will be having a special listener day on November 2nd, I believe. And they have a question that they're asking everyone, and I'm pretty sure that they're going to send out some sorts of gifts and stuff to some of the best answers. I wouldn't be surprised. Another thing that I didn't mention, but some DXers actually specialize in sending out reception reports to broadcast relay stations. For example, BBC. BBC uses relays all around the world. One of the popular relays is Ascension Islands in the South Atlantic. Well, some DXers actually have QSL'd the Ascension Island relay station, which is quite cool. So from the station manager over there, they've received a QSL confirmation or a letter stating that, you know, yeah, you heard a broadcast from that transmitter site. That adds to the countries around the world where you can receive QSLs, for example. And these are fun times and fun things to do. And, you know, they increase the fun part of your hobby. They add to why you want to listen to Shortwave. It can get, you know, with time it can get boring just to listen. So adding that interaction part with stations, that you hear adds another layer of pleasure to the hobby. And at the same time, you let everybody know that you're listening to their stations. This is Radio Romania. So that's pretty much what we have to say today about, you know, correspondence, QSL cards, listener mailbag shows and stuff, all the goodies and pennants and stuff that you can have. It's really, really cool. So Klaus says that he's confirmed Diego Garcia, but not Sao Tome. So you see, these are areas and broadcasts, relays that you actually can QSL if you want throughout the bands. So we're going to actually end this hangout with a tuning of the bands. I'm going to end with a tuning of the bands with a little bit of comments to see what we can hear. And we'll see if we hear anything special on the bands. We're going to start at a low frequency. I'm going to go into the, I don't know, we'll start at the 60-meter bands, 60-meter bands. I have a lot of noise below that, and even there I have a lot of noise. But we'll, that's really heavy noise here. We'll tune, you know, a little bit the bands quickly before we stop and see what we can hear.
I can feel when virtue comes out of you sport. When you start to pray for hundreds and then thousands.
This is WWCR on 4840 kilohertz. WRMI 5015. Radio Rebelde in Cuba. They've been there for ages. I think they were there when I started listening to Shortwave. This is Radio Band in Cuba, 5040.
Also, Bruce McDonald, they have a local radio program every Friday night at Cleveland, Ohio, on 1220
085 is WBCQ, I think. 5110, also WBCQ. Usually very, very eclectic and interesting programs on Saturday evenings. Check everything here. This is the week of Volnet from the Royal Air Force in Britain. This is Shannon Volnet. This is New York. 5616. Oh, that's Gander, sorry. 5616 is for North Atlantic airplane routes.
Roger 754. What track are you on tonight?
This can make really fun listening if you're tracking on the internet the planes.
All through the month of September, we are encouraged our listeners to write us and let us know how and when you listen to the broadcast. Whether you listen to the program online, on the new local app, on shortwave or on your local station. We encourage you to drop us a line and please let us know. Our ministry uses this information to make important decisions regarding future broadcast investments. Please write us in. True News. PO Box 69069, Vero Beach, Florida 32969. You may also communicate with us by email at info@truenews.com.
True News from WRMI.
The call letters, frequency, or website.
WWCR.
Let's do this.
Radio Havana, Cuba, starting their English language broadcast to North America at 6,000 kilohertz. It's a 4-hour-long broadcast from 01 to 05 UTC. China Radio from Albania transmitter site. Radio Marti, Cuba. Caribbean Beacon from the island of Anguilla. $6135 is a Brazilian, I think. Radio Santa Cruz, it was a Bolivian. Radio Santa Cruz, and it's mixed together. There's like a Brazilian, but on 34.8 is also Bolivian. Radio Santa Cruz, very weak here. This is the CBC, Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, from this is CKZN in St. John's, Newfoundland. This is Cuba with no modulation, 6165. Yep, Bullseye says there was a contact info, of course. As I was tuning, there was the address of True News to get information. 6200 is an area for European pirates. It's kind of hard to receive here in Montreal.
Broken, 3,100 overcast, temperature 8, dew point 4, altimeter 3005.
This is Gander Radio weather. This is Trenton Military in Ontario, Canada. No pirates here. 40-meter amateur radio handband.
Well, I get tight out there to see
This I think is
În această dimineață, maestrul Tândăreschi deja a asistat la repetiția generală a proiectului pe care Orchestra Națională Radio se pregătește acum să vi-l oferă estimația ascultătorii posturilor Radio România, Muzica și Radio România Cultural. Sunt Sorina Goia și vă invit să urmăriți un program cu totul special. Piotr Ilișcei-Covski,
Radio Romania.
fantezie Romeo. Ahora en este momento viene el
Radio
signal,
Martin.
no hay chequeo.
Well, this is one I haven't listened to in a long time. 7375 is our Saturday evening broadcast from KBC, mighty KBC radio. They usually come from German transmitter site, broadcasting pop rock music for 2 hours. I haven't listened to the mighty KBC in a little while.
Make sure I get a Bible. That's just one or two Bibles. I think not imagine someone asking
World Harvest Radio.
Bibles a month. But that's
This is a WRNO, which used to be Rock of the World, buzzing transmitter out of frequency. And 555 is KJES from California. WRMI with Overcomer Ministry. This is another Overcomer Ministry frequency. So I'm going to tune quickly and end with that little tuning. Propagation seems to have dropped a little bit. Not that many stations. I think it's Egypt, but with usually zero modulation.
You record in your phone when you have a melody hit, because the melody can come, the melody can float away with the wind. How do you remember the melody line?
I just keep playing over it in my head or out loud in my car and over and over and hop.
It's going around and around your head and you're trying to drive.
WTWW in Lebanon, Tennessee.
But that's when you got to capture the melody line.
That was the Radio France transmitter site is huge. They have great antennas. So another antenna farm that's quite amazing is the Voice of America. I've seen a few antenna farms in the United States. Wow. This is China Radio. This is also China Radio.
Por el gobierno norcoreano. Los Juegos Asiáticos para Discapacitados se inauguraron el sábado 18 con una ceremonia de apertura que comenzó a las 6:15 de la tarde.
KBS World Radio in Spanish. Fortunately, they don't have English in the evening. Would be nice. This is a Brazilian. This is Radio Voz Missionaria from Brazil. Usually making it quite most evening in Portuguese. China radio from Kazakhstan, from what I see here. Radio Romania, French. Weak signal compared to what I hear usually. Try a 25-meter band, and then we'll end this shortwave hangout for today. WEWN from the United States. This is WRMI. Rather weird programming. And here's the Bible reading. It's a very weak all India radio. Radio Havana, Cuba. Radio Havana, Cuba again. Radio Nacional Amazonas in Brazil. WRMI.
You need to pay attention. And
this one is 7870.
Dios te salve María, llena eres de gracia, el Señor es contigo. Bendita tú eres entre todas las mujeres, bendito es el fruto de tu vientre, Jesús.
WEWN, once again, in Spanish. So that's pretty much it.
if you walk inside of a
WTWW.
somebody else's jurisdiction, that's all in your head. This is a battle of.
So I hope you guys enjoyed today's hangout, and that you'll 15 megahertz. Let's just tune a little bit here. So I hope you guys enjoyed the hangouts. It's been a pleasure to host tonight. Before we leave, just going to tell you guys two things: how to reach me if you want to reach me. Email officialshortwaveradio@gmail.com. officialshortwaveradio@gmail.com. Even better, Twitter. You know when I have hangouts. You'll know when I have unannounced hangouts. I will probably have unannounced hangouts pretty regularly, so that's a great way where you'll know. And so it's Shortwave Radios. We are at Shortwave Radios on Twitter. And finally, the schedule for the next Hangouts. If you want to take the time, the next two official Hangouts are going to be Tuesday, November 4th at 1500 UTC. So that one's going to be good for Europe, as it's earlier. So Tuesday, November 4th at 1500 UTC, and the other one official that's going to happen is Sunday, November 16th at 2100 hours UTC. Although later, it's still going to be possible for you Europeans. And so hope to see you there. And of course, Shortwave Radios on Twitter is a great place because every time I do unannounced hangouts, and they're going to be some, it's a great way because I post the unannounced hangouts all the time on the Twitter feed. So take care, guys. Thank you, Klaus, for giving me great comments here. It's always nice to do these hangouts. And nice, saying merci in French. Really nice. That's my pleasure. And Bullseye saying that love your memory banks working in your head. Yep. A lot of my memory banks are here. I get a little help from the internet, but I have a lot of the knowledge of, listening almost daily to Shortwave. So take care, everyone, and hope to see you. Don't forget, official Shortwave Radio at gmail.com if you want to write me. Want to join the Twitter feed at Shortwave Radios, and hope you're going to be there Tuesday, November 4th. 2014 at 1500 hours UTC. We'll talk about the new schedules and be tuning the bands. So take care, everyone. It's always nice.